Billionaires, it is your girl Blessin here, your belief mentor and generational blessing, here with a new episode of the B Word. Hope everyone is doing well out there in the universe. Around this time is pretty much time for everyone's back to school time for the kiddos. And I said, you know what, as a piss poor planner that I am, and when I'm recording this podcast, it will align with back to school. And since we did discuss on our last podcast, side A, some similarities and mirroring effects that we have from our children, let's keep a healthy conversation going about our children as we are approaching or has started very recently the back to school year for 2025, 2026. Congratulations, mothers. Congratulations, fathers. We've done summer. We've made it through. And as much as I enjoyed my summer, I am so grateful to be back in school for the routine that it provides me and my family. Because by the time I come up with a routine for summer, being a new mom, like technically, I'm a new mom of a child, technically, a school age child. So last summer, he was 4. You don't have to do much. This summer, he's 5 and he's bored more. So I'm learning I got to prepare for summer a little bit better than I did. So, because I love routine, we didn't really have one this summer. So I'm grateful to be back in routine. If you are a routine person, I'm sure you can sympathize with those thoughts. But yes, guys, I welcome. I just want these kids to have the best, most blessed, successful, fun school year this year. And I want us parents to have that same experience. And maybe we can work as a team and help each other out. Maybe, just maybe, we can be on one band, one sound is the objective of my podcast here with you all today as we are talking about our children from my B word perspective and my talks with God about my parenting and how that looks. And maybe, just maybe, it might be helpful for one of you too. Because if I can just help one, then my job here is done. Like, I'm here for the one of oneers. Okay. All right. So back to school. Not only do we want to prep these babies' supplies, but we got to remember to prep their spirits too. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? The principalities that are all around us that we as spiritual beings are really not being aware of. It is our job as their parents who are spiritual beings and Christians to be on swivel um, for them. Okay. So as we're getting the book bags together, the markers, the crayons, and all the things, I want you to remember to have important conversations with them to get their spirit right for the new year. You're going to see kids doing things that you don't do. Make sure that you keep up what your family has taught you. I remember the things that you learned in church and what God sees in you and who you are in Christ. Because there might be some bullies at school calling you names. Those things are not you. Let me tell you who you are. Be intentional. I didn't even know I was going to call this a mistake, but as a first time mom, and I'm learning as I go, and I believe in lessons. I remember when Barack was self teaching himself ABCs and how to read, I took that for granted. I thought that would be something he just always enjoyed doing. But as he got older, ABCs and reading became less interesting and he started picking up bad habits from the internet. But that's when I needed my intentionality to step in and keep him in his routine as I saw that happening. But I was kind of taken aback by it, but now I'm more aware and I'm being more intentional. And I want to get ahead of things when I can with my children. Um, we are so concerned about what the teacher needs and what the school supplies are and what the grades are going to be. But I'm telling you, as I look back over my life regularly in this season, I am so grateful for the seeds my parents sold into me. So even when I got out here and became a wild ass flower, I was always able to come back to my roots when I needed to be an oak tree because what was poured in me. So parents, don't get discouraged when you talk to these hard ass, head ass kids and they're not listening. One day it's gonna click. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow. But I know them lessons my mama told me at 10 make so much sense right now. So just keep teaching them and keep being intentional. Um, what they really need to learn. And that's what I just kind of went over. Like we got to remember this is the world system, you know what I'm saying? And they got a program. They got a curriculum. And if we are not intentional about our parenting program and our curriculum, the world will trick and confuse our children out of their identity, which is the whole point of the curriculum. So we got to be intentional more um this generation of parents than our parents were before us, not because they didn't mean well, but they just did not have the luxury to do so. And because we have more time, more money, more assets, more favors on our side, we need to be thankful, grateful, and intentional about those liberties the Lord has given us as parents with our children. I want us to speak to them from and even I gotta practice this, guys, because it's just so natural. If you remember from the last podcast, how I got into this conversation is as an adult, I always knew you keep learning. I always knew you keep growing. But I didn't realize the seasons were so dramatic. Like I thought from looking over my mother's mothering over me as a child, it wasn't a lot of climatic things. It was very steady. So she did a wonderful job of keeping the drama away from us. So now I'm like, oh, there's drama in adulthood. So I need to prepare early in my children the drama for adulthood because let the therapist tell it. All the things we are experiencing as adults stem from our traumas as children. So it has to be some alignment thought about because I know back in my day it was grown-ups in this room, kids in another, and I believe a lot of that needs to be brought back. But stay out of grown folks conversation, I believe a lot of that needs to be brought back. But I also do believe, which leads me into our next point, that we as Americans baby our children, protect our children too much to a certain degree. We are keeping, I know, at least in my household, it was a very big deal about keeping us innocent and not being partaking in grown up conversations. But I wished as a grown up that my mother just talked to me more from a grown up perspective. Like instead of just saying, clean your room, more like and she didn't just do it like that. I'm sure she did more explaining, but even for me, I'm like, Barack, we want to clean your room because we want to develop good habits. Okay. So, how you do anything right now as a child is developing you for yourself in the future. The more practice you have, the more perfect or more easier this will become to you. So, if we start now in the first grade, one day you're going, oh, I don't want to do this, you won't even be thinking like that no more because it's going to be so repetitive. But if we start in the third grade, you're going to be hemming and hawing in third. If we start in fourth, you're going to hem and haw in the fourth. So the sooner we start, the sooner you can hem and haw. And the sooner you can be done with that. And it just becomes a part of who you are. And I'm just taking upon that energy. And I also remember when Barack was in the newborn phase, I don't remember where I heard it from, but they're like, we're too gentle with them. We got to keep in mind, we don't want to be abusive, obviously, but if you can remember how you are with your newborn, it's very, very gentle. And even the doctors are like, you don't be abusive, but they can take more than what we're giving them. They just came through the birth canal, a very traumatic experience. So if you accidentally do something that you think is a little bit firm, basically they're saying it's okay. Your baby can take on more than you actually know that they can when you're not doing it from an abusive point of view. an abusive place. It was like, excuse me, because I feel like I'm just going on and on. It's not even an accident. It's like you just move them in a way and you wished you moved them gentler than you did, but it's no big deal. And then you start going through this mom guilt, like, oh, I need to be more careful. The doctor's basically saying it is okay. Like, don't beat yourself up about that. Your baby can handle tons of pressure. Trust and believe the experience that it just went through. So thinking from that perspective, right? Our children are babied here in America. Like, even in the educational system, my son was learning the same thing from daycare to what's next, pre-K to kindergarten to first grade, Head Start. For 4 years we're learning the same thing over and over. Them kids in Japan are learning how to code. Them kids in Japan, because we went to Japan for Barack's 6th birthday, have parks where they're literally learning how to start Barack's age. They're starting fires. They're bringing chicken from home and they're cooking little wings on the fire. They're building things. There's hammers, there's nails, there's adults sporadically around helping the kids build. They are jumping from trees. They're doing all the things. And I'm like, we barely even want our teenagers doing the things these little kids are out here doing. They're making toys. They're doing arts and crafts that involve tools and know how to use them, and looking at the little American kids like, y'all ain't never seen one of these before. So our kids are actually capable of more than we actually put on them, but with intentionality and not overbearingism, that can be a very helpful tool for our kids down the road. Okay. So we're just having a discussion about using mirroring as our children are showing us things, how we can be more intentional with them, make these things a positive experience. So it's not like we're just yelling at them all the time. So like I was saying, I'm fixing my, yes. Like I was saying, in the last episode, I am learning more and more that I'm literally having birthdays which are not yearly, but they feel like, oh, we've arrived and this is our final destination. Oh, we arrived. I like this destination. Are we leaving? It feels like your parent packing you up and taking you somewhere and you loved your old school. I'm still going through that, but I don't know if it was motherhood and then another state. We're gonna get to that though in our lineage that brought this upon me. So I'm saying all that to say our children are going through that same, whoa, I was 4 and my mom was way more patient with me. My mother never raised her voice at me. I never even really got a spanking at this point in time. Whoa, I'm 5. You mean to tell me when you turn 5, your mama literally gets a belt and whoops it across your behind? I was not prepared for this. When does this stop? So just imagine what they're experiencing as they hit these new levels. And every new level for us all is a new devil. Okay? So yes, this is a scripture that helps me out a lot, that I thought would be helpful for you moms and dads for back to school. It's Colossians 3:23-24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since we know that you receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Jesus Christ you are serving. Hold up. All right, that's the end of it, y'all. So yes, I know sometimes it gets draining. It gets redundant. It's a beautiful thing. It gets joyful. It's happy. But I'm the parent here to keep it real. And I'm just keeping it real from my experience. I get a little exhausted sometimes. But when I even tell my mom that sometimes I don't think I'm the best mom. I've just programmed myself to be the best in most things of life. And because of that, where I am weak, my character, my God in me, my who I am made in image speaks up for me and it pulls my wagon forward is basically what I want to say. So sometimes when I feel, and I take shortcuts, I'm not saying that, but a lot of times when I do take my shortcuts, when I remember who I'm doing it for, that these kids are on borrowed time. Yes, mom and dad sounds like a very permanent role, but these are really God's children, and He's lent them to me to pour into them. So I just always reflect that what we're really here for is to create amazing human beings so they can give the earth so much love, light, and peace, and that they can experience that while they're here. Because what you give out of my opinion is what you get back. So even when I do get back what you would consider bad things, because of my programming of perspective, I'm always able to bring it back to something good. Peace, light, love was amongst this in some kind of way, and I am going to find it. And I find that teaching my son that way helps him to find the bright side, and how intentional we need to be about that, because the world is dark and they want these children to be dark. I've never seen so many unhappy, including my own children. I'm like, why do y'all look so sad? Mind you, if you don't get your way, you should be sad for 2.5 seconds. But y'all just be walking around with grumpy faces. Like, when did we get here? And you know when it got here? With us walking around with grumpy faces, and they're mirroring that effect. But we'll get more to that in down the line. So, mom, dad, I hope most everybody is growing up in a two-parent household. Because my son is not, I focus more on the word mom. But I am encouraging us all, because parenting is parenting, especially if you're a good one. What does that role even truly mean to you? And for me, you always kind of want, as human beings, our nature is to want what you don't have, per se, right? So I always, you can go back to every podcast, I always hype up, feel like I have the best mama in the whole wide world. But what I did not physically have growing up was money. We were never broke. We were never poor. We always had the resources. We always had the things. I always had the clothes. I always had the shoes. We always had a car. We always had a home. It was never the worst. It was never the best, but it was always, I don't even know what best is, because this is actually pretty darn good, other than the stuff I've seen on TV. Like, my mom provided us a very wholesome middle class experience, but I never saw a lot of money, and it never felt poor, but it also never felt like there was a lot of extra money. But I was always blessed to have what I needed and most everything of what I wanted. But, you know, as my son has taught me from looking at him in a mirroring effect, most everything we want ain't good enough for us. We want it all. And I've assumed that money would help me get it all. So when I became a mother, my plan to, I just thought naturally I was just going to bring all the things my mother poured into me into the situation. So I was never feeling scared, like I won't love them enough, or I won't have the right words to say, or I won't be positive enough. Never was that a thought, because that's all I saw growing up. Like, I reflect with my brother right now. I said, do you ever remember mom sitting around us being like, oh, these kids get on my nerves? My mama has never said that to me. My Barack has heard that probably 20 times today. So it's just like, whoo, I am a wonderful mom, but girl, how did you do it where I didn't have a clue, or you never even from your perspective see it the way I see it? Like, these kids is working my damn nerves. Like, how did you get so much patience? So anyway, at first, the first 5 years of Barack's life, I was highly motivated financially, and even groomed him into a love language being like my love language things, because I was a full-time entrepreneur from 6 months pregnant to now, that a lot of times where I couldn't be as present as I would have liked to been, a gift was easier, and he enjoyed receiving it. So now he loves gifts. Was that his natural love? I don't know per se. Well, I do know because I'm intentional and I pay attention. But I can say, in addition to his natural love, which is words of affirmation, we have another one because I created that monster from my mirroring effect. And it's not even a monster. I also want to create in him go-getterness. Like, you can have whatever it is that you want through faith. That's number one. And then depending on how hard you want to work or not work is number two, because that brings me to point number two. I was like, okay, finances ain't the answer because he's working my nerves, and my mother did not have the finances that I had, and she ain't never said I worked her nerves. I got to go back and study this. And that this was her faith. And even her faith of just having good children. She just decided she was going to have good children and what good actually meant to her. And pretty much we were that. So if you're intentional and you believe in what you are intentional about, it really falls into line. So a lot of stuff, which we're going to get to as I stay focused, works out in your favor, mother, father, not because of the mom guilt you can release, but because of God's grace. When you put the perspectives in order, when you put the education in order, when you put the spirit, when I said education, I meant the biblical principles in order, the spirit before the flesh in order, from a very young age in these children, it just compounds over time. So even when I wasn't as much as my mom as I wanted to be, a lot of it was naturally present because it just compounds over time. And then I got intentional about it, and then that part compounded over time. So I'm just saying, take a second look of pouncing on them negatively, and start pouring and responding and even correcting and punishing through positive influences when you can. But the Bible also does say, you spare that rod, you spoil that child. So they got to get their asses whooped from time to time. And when I say whoop, I don't really mean whoop. A little pop on the ass. Ain't never hurt nobody. But lead with love, lead with light. But the rod of correction, why am I acting like my mama, is necessary. Let's keep it going. All right. So because of that, I ended up doing a career change because I just also believe when working smart and not hard, and I like as much peace as possible. That's why I am so grateful for taking the time out to learn who I am as a person, y'all. Because in my 20s, people and myself used to have me feeling so bad that I didn't really have a purpose that I could just name at that time, or I didn't really have a career of a thing that I just was at that time. And I'm so grateful for that now because I get to flow and be whatever I need to be, which is a very similar trait to Jesus. Like, Jesus was never nobody's pastor. Jesus was never a owner of a church. He just flowed, and where there was a need, he did. And that is where I am in life now. And I'm just like, I don't even want to be like, I have conversations with people like, where do you attend church? I'm like, these are my shepherds. But right now, I'm not a member anywhere because I'm a member of Christ. And I don't want to be caught up in stipulations and regulations about what the church finds well or unwell. With Christ, I just do what I need to do when I need to do it, how I need to do it. And I hear from the source. I don't need no permission. I like that freedom. That's my role. But if I would listen to everybody, even my parents, Blessin, you need a good church home. If anything happens to me, y'all got a good church home. And guess what? They're going to take care of me. And because I'm God's daughter, he going to make everything come do what it need to do. I ain't got to worry about that. I just need to move in my purpose, move in my assignment. And I will land every time, as God has shown us throughout our lives, exactly where we need to be. You know? So yeah, but having the courage to, if you didn't get it that way, by any means necessary. If you see there's a possibility that your career is holding you back from being a wonderful mother, God is really just testing us to see, are we brave enough to do something else? And he will be the bridge over troubled water if you can put his purpose above your purpose. So he'll make a way. Is it scary? Yes. Does it take some time? Yes. But I will say, I ain't never seen the righteous forsaken. And when he sees you willing to take that leap, God does not want you to fall. But we also want to make sure that we are hearing from God, and we are being intentional with our prayers. And that's all I can say. That's what I did for me. And even some of my prayers were silent. It was just things I just wished I could do better. And I didn't realize God heard it, but could just continue to, I guess that point would be to just, if you can, I try my best to not to take in anything negative. I don't listen to negative music. I don't listen to podcasts that are negative. Like, I keep my, if I'm not listening to something spiritual, then I'm empty. So I can be filled with God. And usually if you want something, and it requires some strategy, like changing your job, he'll provide it if you're intentional and serious about it. But I'm just grateful that I was able to do so. And yes, we'll talk more of that. So the power of being present, guys, goes back to the money. The money is great and all of that providing, but the moms, as much as we have gone out here and figured out how to become the breadwinners, because it ain't the men's fault. The government set us up so it could be the men's fault. So I ain't mad at them, but it is what it is that they got taken out of the home. It also took us out the home, and we need to figure out how to get back in the home. And because we just have a nurturing spirit that our children are lacking because we're too busy just trying to provide, because ain't no provision being provided for us. So I get it, which is why I am very grateful that I took the time to sit down to learn how to trade. If you go to college for 4 years, for college for just your bachelor's or even your associates, minimum time of education is about 2 years. You're gonna have to learn your trade, to learn your skill, and get your degree. Same with trading, but you're gonna make more money because you sacrifice that time. Okay, so if nobody told you it takes time to learn how to trade, it busted my ass. Took a lot of my money. But I knew, unlike anybody else's college, that once I got the skill set, I was guaranteed a paycheck. Because one thing about being educated is once you cross that stage, there's no guarantee that you'll find a job that pays you. It's no guarantees in life about nothing. But there's no guarantee that you spent all those years, some 2, some 4, some 6, some 8, some 10, and much more, and you're struggling financially with trading. If you spend the time and learn the skill set is the skill set, and then learn some self mastery, which you should be doing anyway in the process of becoming your best self, you're guaranteed a paycheck, people. And ain't many guarantees in the world, but there's something in the stock market, because there's so many ways to skin that cat, that you can do. And this is a foundational thing of the United States of America, of the world, is trade. So unlike the Airbnb phase that comes and goes, unlike the Turo that came and went, unlike real estate with high rates, low interest rates, trading, there's always an opportunity to make excessive amount of money. And I prayed to God, help me to compound the time. And he sent trading to me as that vehicle. And I am so passionate about it that I'm not a teacher, but I am a public service announcement that you should do it. This is your sign. You should do it. I do have a link in my bio where it'll be a great place for you to get started until you figure out something that you love. Because I will say I've had different teachers, different experiences, And there's no right or wrong way. It's just about finding what works for you and making it work intentionally and period. But I was able to transition from one career to another because I wasn't even attached to a career in the first place. It was like, okay, no big deal. It pay. Let's go. So I'm just thankful now, later in my life, that I'm not an attached person. Like, it actually works in my favor that I don't have a lot of attachments. And at first, I felt so bad about it, but now I'm like, no, that's actually beneficial for me. Yeah, just keep on living, y'all. Just keep on living. All those things that you like, why me? And everybody else is, you're going to start to appreciate your gifts. And that's when you start loving yourself. Like, that's when you start looking in the mirror and you used to be like, oh, I don't like how my nose looking. Oh, I don't like my eyes don't look like this girl's eyes. And oh, I wish I was. And it's like, now, no, God really made a beautiful entity. Like, your spirit, the way you handle people, the way you handle yourself, the way you love your son, the way you love your mama, the way you love your friends, like the way you don't take on things unless you can take them. Like, you're really living like God told you. Like, treat people the way you want to. You are the epitome. And then you just start saying, yeah, I am that. And yeah, and then you start feeling pretty for real. Like, oh, my nose is perfect, actually. It's my nose. Oh, my eyes. God, you could, Jesus, God eyes. Because I'm made in his image. And nothing really, you get light. Just like I just got light. You just get, it's all good, baby. Just do the best you can with what you got. The lady with the oil. I need some help. Well, nobody came to help her. So the man said, well, what you got in your house? Start with that. And y'all, this ain't on point, but start with that. It will multiply. You know, when I first came up with the title, it just hit me like a random download, Belief Mentor. And at first I was like, ooh, and then it was the BM, like your baby mama, your belief mentor. Everybody needs one of those. Everybody has one of those, a BM, because that's how you were born, right? And I just like to have a play on words. But then I was like, nah, I'm not even qualified for that. Like, I'm a believer, of course, because I am. But I know people believe bigger. They got bigger. They move bigger. They do bigger. They impact bigger. And God said, that's why I'm going to make you the belief mentor so you can rise to the occasion. And then you're going to be like, oh, look how far I came. I had to increase my belief to become this title. And it's only going to be beneficial for you to do so. So why would you not do it? And I was like, you know what, God, you better speak that over my life. And you just got to be the one that when he speaks it, you got to receive it. You can't be like, oh, no, it's not. Nah, that is me. Because I wouldn't have heard it if he wasn't talking to me. And if I was too cluttered, I wouldn't even have heard it. So that's the importance of being open. Back to my point. So let your children see you happy. Let your children see you praying. That brought back a wonderful childhood memory. Every day, if my mom didn't come in my room first, if I went in her room, every time she would be in her bed on her knees praying every single time. Oh, thank you, God, for that memory. Yes, and that is important for us to see because now I'm thinking in my head, you know, I forgot how important it was to me to see that in her. And Barack needs to see that in me, which is what this podcast was all about in the first place. So with that being said, it leads me to this scripture, which is my son, which is Proverbs 3:1-4. My son, do not forget my teachings. I tell this to Barack all the time. But keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Why did he even put prosperity in there? Because God desires us to be prosperous in every form. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck, write them on a tablet of your heart. then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. That's my desire for my son. All right, to keep this show going, because I'm talking way more than I thought I was going to be. Phases, which we talked about a little bit earlier, of womanhood. Okay? There's the baby, there is the toddler, there is the child, there is the tween, there is the teen, there is the young adult, there is the adult, there is the midlife crisis. Y'all know that's 35, right? Because God promises us 70 years of life. Anything over that is extra. Half of 70 is 35. There is your full life, 70, and there is your extended life, right? That's what they teach you. In between those, I didn't feel them as much, other than you just understood after a kid, you become a tween. There's an obvious body change. There's an obvious body change. There's an obvious attitude happening. But that shift from adult maybe to midlife, 35-ish, creeps up on you because you think you're grown and you think you're done and you think you just get experiences that you learn from, but you don't think you're still having stages. And then that's as far as I gotten so far. I haven't reached the other stages. I'm gonna stop there because I have no experience on those. Then in the motherhood, it's different stages for some of us, but it hit me in the adult stage, almost midlife crisis stage, right? In the middle of those stages. But then add your child stages to that. So you hitting the new stage, and they're going from innocent little baby to, I call them 1 to 0. That's when they're under your control. To me, that was the easiest stage. You just put them in your little basket and they're a third arm. Wherever you go, they go. No big deal. We in this together. Follow my lead. Cool. 1 to 3. Okay. I don't have a third arm anymore. I have a third leg. Great listener. They might run off because it's a third leg, but they don't run far, and they come on back. They test. They're still very good. They're still hearing very positive words from mothers and fathers. All is well. 3 to 5. Who is this child? God, I didn't sign up for this. This is not going with my flow of ease, schedules, routines. This is contradictory. This is feeling a little like the enemy because I want to go right and he is insisting that we go left. That ain't being, is he on my team? Because I'm a new mama and I became a mom later in life. So when people don't go right, when I'm going right, they get left. But now you got a leg that you can't leave. We in the 3 to 5. Now we got a headache that won't go. Now you got to figure out your perspective to make that beautiful while you're approaching your midlife crisis. All right, and then you got 5 to 7. Oh, you got a schedule? Oh, so you got 2 legs. And you got a personality? And this personality is actually a lot like mine. So I almost kind of feel bad for even yelling at you for that foolishness you just did, because I'll be doing it too. So anyway, came up with that concept, and I'm like, I didn't even know I was still hitting in between stages, and I didn't really think about their stages. And then we're not thinking about their stages. We're just like, why they not listening? Why don't they understand? Because although our children comprehend and learn quickly, which is also very amazing to watch, um, they have a lot of just raw emotion, just untamed real feelings. Not like I'm trying to feel this for you. I want you to understand this. It's more of it is what it is. And I just want us to pay attention to that, because I noticed when Barack started snapping and like I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm like, but why is he so snappy? Now, I'm not a very snappy person, but when something pisses me off, I snap. And a lot of times it's when I have a bad trading experience. And for a year, I had a lot of those. So for a year, my son saw me snapping, because I don't usually snap, but trading will expose the deepness within you that you didn't even know was there. So now he's playing his little games and he's not winning and he's snapping. And I'm like, but why is he doing this? Because he see me doing it. So now I'm trying to justify, well, this earns us money. This is how I pay the bills. Well, mom, he's justifying this game is important to me. I don't want to lose it. It's the same concept. So now it's teaching me to not snap. Like, I need to take my losses like a big girl, because I have a little boy looking at me about how it looks when you lose. I'm teaching him right now what losing and winning looks like. And though I know I'm a winner and ain't no losses happening on my watch on no day, visually right now, what his perspective is taking in is what a sore loser looks like. And he's learning it from me. I have to readdress what I am doing, even though I am an adult paying the bills, and what I say goes, and you need to listen to me. You heard what I said, but it's deeper than that. And if we want to get to the root of his problem, not spank the problem, we have to be aware of how he got there. And you know what changes the snapping? You know what changes me having to repeat myself? I said, why I repeat myself so much? God said to me, why do I have to repeat myself to you so many times? Do you listen? You're just as hard-headed as your son. Oops. That encourages me to listen better, because I don't like receiving that kind of information about myself, but I do appreciate constructive criticism. And B, I don't mean to not listen. So find some compassion with my son when he's not listening. Like, he's just testing. These kids are literally Christopher Columbus right now. Like, they're having so many firsts that we just assume is no big deal. But going to second grade for the first time, even though I'm like, well, he just went to first grade, so he should be able to do second grade. Second grade is different. And I have to remember to take my big person's hat off and get in my little baby shoes and be like, if it was the same, it would be the same. It's different because it's different. And remember as much as I can. And if I can't remember, listen as best I can to my son and his experiences. He don't like to talk about his day, but I keep probing him. And it may not be second grade, but one of these years, he's going to get comfortable with speaking to me. And it's probably going to be the years that he needs to be comfortable. Right now, ain't too much probably happening in second grade. But sixth grade, son, I want you to by then be in routine of talking to me about your day in depth. So when you're experiencing stuff, when you're going through your teen years that I didn't talk to my mom about, because it just didn't seem, not because she was a bad mom, but it was just a very different time. It was like it was just like you just didn't talk to your parents about that. And I don't really want Barack to talk to me about stuff that I know some moms talk to their children about, but I do want to be open that if it does come up, we can have the conversation. But I want to talk to him so much in general from just sharing that answers a lot of his questions that he don't even have to come to me. If that makes any sense. Just my testimonies. Ain't no message without no mess. Ain't no testimonies without no test. Son, I done been all them stages. What I've learned is there is nothing new under the sun. Same test, different opponents. Same game, different teams. And you ain't going to listen to everything I got to say. You're not going to listen to most of what I got to say. But I'm going to pour. Pour, 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 pour. Because I know one day you're going to come back to the well and there's going to be water there. I'm just doing my job now. Yes. So use your child as your tool to help them become better, but also yourself to become better. Teach them who they are so they don't believe what the world tells them about themselves. Teach them early that they are made in God's image, not clichely, in depth. These things that, let me show you what God did. You know you can do these things too. Let me show you times when you've done this. The Bible calls them miracles. The shows you watch on TV calls it magic. Be careful with your words because everything you say is powerful. Start now only speaking the things that you want to happen to you, son. If you don't want it to happen to you, don't talk about it. Because if you talk about it, it's going to happen to you. Just teaching, even though it ain't the lesson they're going to go out and use today. The well is getting full. If you don't teach them, the world is going to. My mommy was the epitome of role model. I saw her from praying in that bed to moving like a queen. That's why I today move like the queen that I am. A little more conversation because I don't know. I think it was a dad issue that I didn't know that I had. So for me, a weakness growing up as a young girl was, and it still is my problem to this day, is men. I think it could possibly be that, and not in an overwhelmingly way, but in a very subtle way, that when a man takes interest into me, I kind of hold on longer than I desire to, and how I see myself being treated. I'm not getting treated that way, but it was a different kind of love I didn't experience at home. So I took the love that I did experience at home for granted. Because what did I say at the beginning of the podcast? We always want what we don't have. So because I had a wonderful mother, I subconsciously always wanted a wonderful man experience around me, which led me to men because it was the thing I did not have. I'm glad I said that out loud. But yeah. So if my mother and I had more conversation around the fact that my dad was not around, I would have saw things differently. I don't hold no grudge or feel no bad way about it because we can always say what if, what if, what if, what if. But as I just reflect, it's a question that comes up. And again, we're going to get to one last thing at the end. When I say gifts, it's going to come back to this, that sometimes there are things in you like that we want to say is bad, but it's actually God placed it into you for such a time as this. So even the guy that I'm dating now, I realize that it's my heart, not just because I got a good heart, but it's my heart specifically. Whether we last or don't last, I hope that we do, but it's my heart specifically that he needed in this season that most people will be like, that wasn't it, Blessin. But I know God don't make no mistakes. And I know that a lot of women would not have done the thing that I did. I didn't even mean to go here, but anyway, we here. And that I was present for that purpose. But if I didn't have that dad issue, he wouldn't attracted the girl he needed for that situation, which is why I'm a strong believer in God gives you capacity for certain situations. Like it'll be, I'm a capacity is the word. He'll give you capacity for certain situations and certain people. Whereas your rule might be never will I do this, never will I do that. And you can easily never do these things. But then it's going to be a situation or a person that you feel compelled to do these things for. Pay attention to those people. I don't pay, the Bible says it's easy for you to love people who are easy to love. It's easy for you to love your friend, but can you love like Christ and love someone that's difficult to love? Can you love the difficult? Because the difficult need love too. But because it's difficult, most people ain't going to deal with the difficulty. And that's me. When difficulty rises up, baby, I just told y'all a minute ago, Barack, you need to go right. Because I'm used to going left when people go difficult on me. But the capacity that you have as a mother, the capacity that I've had in certain situations and certain people make me feel like I am supposed to be there because I would have never done it for anything or anyone else. Pay attention to that because I think for me, in a dating perspective, I normally run from that. But it was like, nah, God is exposing this because marriage is difficult. And if you're running from difficulty, you're going to be running from the marriage. You got to learn, if you feel this is of God, how to do difficult. And I did not mean to go there, but I went there. Back to the children. So when the children don't get what they want, how do they respond? That question is for you too as an adult. When you don't get what you want, how do you respond? So we always talk about, when I say we, my mother and I talk about Barack's hard-headedness. I know I'm hard-headed with God because my problem with God is slow obedience. I'm always obedient, but I be taking my time. And with God, disobedience is disobedience. Yeah. So with my mom, she's always like, you need to do this and you need to do this and you need to do this. I'm like, Mama, you're around the corner. You can do this and you can do this. And that's like, it's not my parenting skill. I don't even have a parenting skill yet. I'm figuring out who the heck I am even as a parent. It's my first one. We keep hitting these new stages. Time I think I got it figured out, I got to figure out something else. But you done did this a few times. So do you experience grandmother? That's why they put grand in the front, because you know what to do. Until then, this is what I'm doing. But I did hear you. I receive what I can. But if I don't receive it, then you do it. So I said all that to say, my mother and I are having a conversation. And Barack be overreacting really quick, like about things when he don't get his way. And again, like I said, we like to get our way, and the kids just react unfiltered. So I don't get my way. There's a thought in my head like, you know what? I'm used to getting my way and I'm pissed. But I know better than that. I know better as an adult to act on that. But my initial thought process is I didn't get what I want, bro. That ain't cool. So their initial thought process, I didn't get what I want, bro. That ain't cool. But they actually act on it because they haven't been trained enough to not act on it. And it's a beautiful thing that they can still move organically until we do like the horses and whip it out of them. So I'm just saying, be mindful of the stallion in them. Don't whoop it all out. Like, let them be a stallion. But yeah, so now because he overreacts is the example that I want to use. I do not overreact because I've realized that I could overreact, but I have the discipline and the willpower and the decision making that I don't want to be an overreactor. So I don't overreact. My mother, on the other hand, is also probably an overreactor, but she hasn't decided that she don't want to be an overreactor. Or has she? Unless she is triggered. And to me, when you're triggered, it kind of just shows you who you could actually be unfiltered. So we're having this conversation, and my uncle is saying something that my mama doesn't like, and she overreacts. And I look at her, I said, see, that's where Barack gets it from. The only difference is you are very rarely in an encounter that triggers you to overreact. So you don't overreact often, because as adults, we learn we can't let everything bother us. No big deal. But if you are a child and you're feeling triggered when your mama tell you to put your shoe on because you want to keep playing the game, you're aggravated. When your mom tell you to go brush your teeth because you want to lay in bed more, you're aggravated. So they seem small to us, but it's big to them, because it's like, I just want to lay here and relax. Like, I've been laying here and relaxing all summer. What you mean I got to get up at 6:30? When triggered, as often as these kids feel like they are triggered, they're responding in the way you respond, but we just don't get triggered as often, or we've learned everything does not warrant a reaction. The kids haven't learned that. So it seems like it's just popping off. But same principle is what I'm trying to say is he gets it from his grandmama. So he probably got it from his great grandmama, that he responds when triggered the way that he does. And the only reason I don't is because I saw in my mama, not even often, but just from people around, like, I don't want you guys to have that kind of control over me where I'm triggered. So I took my power back. And that's the only difference. He hasn't learned where to take his power. But we need to give them power in the way that we speak to them. All right. So with that being said, guys, because this show is going on, I thought I didn't have that much to talk about, but I really do. Morning routine. I want y'all back to school, get in the morning routine. I want y'all to pray with these babies. I want y'all to do affirmation. Hey, you are handsome. You are beautiful. You are kind. You are smart. You the best thing since sliced bread. You are a billionaire. You have the greatest heart. You are always helping people. You are always showing love. You are a great sharer. You are such a kind young man. You have a beautiful heart. You always putting others before yourself, but you also take great, like, just pour, because you know who else ain't gonna do it? The world. The world, the world, the world. It starts at home. No tablet time, y'all. Take it from me as a mama who loves my son to get on the tablet, because that means you gonna leave me alone. It is killing their brains. Even when you try to keep them on positive stuff, they just scroll and get to this foolishness. And I know this is going to be a great request. I know it is for me, but we got to figure out how to get them off these tablets, because the world knows that we look forward to them being on that tablet and us getting some peace, and they are using it to their advantage, and we have to take the power back. And just even riding to the car, I noticed that I took the tablet away from him going to school. Well, during the school week altogether now, but we started with going to school. But then I was on my phone. So now it's like, okay, mom, I'm not on the tablet. Is this a punishment? Because you're on your phone. So then I had to also remind myself to get off my tablet and get off of my phone and make that drive to school intentional. Talk to them, show them some love, read a song, do the prayer, create memories with your children on the way to school. That's the best. If you drive them to school, repetitive time to teach them something. Practice the spelling words, do a little math problem or two, but be present with them during that time. Because you shouldn't, as the accident girl, should not have been on the phone anyway, but I will do it anyway. Focus. As we wrap up, remember who you are. Remember to teach them who they are. Start as a baby and get in the habit of always doing that. Don't mistake their weirdness, their badness, their uniqueness as problems. Be aware of those things. It could be their gift, and you want to encourage that gift, highlight that gift as often as possible. And I say that to say that I was talking to a parent the other day, and she was telling me that her child is very hard on himself when he doesn't do something that he thinks is right or wrong, like he doesn't let it go easily. And she admired how I was able to let things go easily. And I said to her, I said, you probably admire that in me because he probably gets it from you, that you don't let go of things easily. Just from talking to you, I can see, that he gets it from you. And that's not me being negative. That's me saying that it could, because he has it and because you have it, it's going to probably be something he sees unless you're ready to address it. But it could also be something that we can highlight and make it a positive. So if he has that type of ambition, let's change the word, like ambition to be great, let's what does he like to do? Let's do more of that. And so that way, if he let's say it's karate, and let's say if he has a bad karate experience, at least he's gonna want to come back and try even harder. So if we're at home and we're just dealing with this at home, it doesn't resonate. We're going to have to do some sacrificing of some sort. That's just an example of the karate. But if you can think of something else. And it could be something at home, but just get creative. Like, how can I help my son with this? How can I find a solution instead of making this be a bad thing because he got it honest with this? So with that being, so he likes to yeah, so yeah, an award system for congratulating him at home for always getting it right. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. That is going to be a skill set that helps him as a grown up. Listen to all the things you just told me you were able to accomplish. You just graduated from this school. You just got this job. You just did this. You just did that. You think you was going to be able to accomplish that if you didn't use you being hard on yourself as your cheerleader to keep you going? So figure out how to channel that into a positive. If that's what, if you got it, use the oil you got. Yes. And then there's another situation. I ran across a little girl. She had autism. The little girl barely touched me, and the grandmama was like, I'm so sorry she has autism. I don't know these people from a can of paint, but I stopped grandmama in her tracks and said, you know what? I know you are coming from a place of love. That's why I'm coming back to you from love. I hope you receive it. But she barely touched me. We're in the pool. There's kids everywhere. I wouldn't have known she was artistic or had autism. I forgot which word she used until you pointed it out to me. I'm sure there are things that warrant this. And I know you're around her more than I am. But if possible, if we can just be aware of what you said. And I personally don't think she needs to hear it as often because, again, I don't see where she was really doing anything and I heard it. And she's been by me for 20 seconds. So I can just imagine possibly how often she hears that. And I think she would be better off not, even if you want to whisper to me without her hearing it, if that helps. But I don't think she needs to experience that verbiage. And she justified it, and I'm justified. And I was only going to justify one time because that's her granddaughter, and I don't want to overstep. But God has also put me here to advocate where I see there's a need to be advocated for. So that's what I did. And I went on to say, I said, honestly, I think we all are. I think she said she was on the spectrum. And I said, we are all on the spectrum. On the spectrum just means you do something differently from most people. All of us have that. Some of us, it sticks out a little bit more than others. But honestly, it's the thing that makes you amazing. Because other than that, God would have made us all the same. And I probably have things that are kind of spectrumy that is who makes me who I am. So, and then she went on to talk to me about her older son. She's like, felt like he was on the spectrum growing up, but it was never documented. It was never in his records. I said, that's a good thing. I said, how is your son now? Well, he does this and he does this and he does. I said, well, tell me how his spectrum is keeping him from living a productive life. It's not. Okay, so now we know he has or was or always has been on the spectrum, but he's living life, right? So what's wrong? Because him knowing would have just made you coddle him like you're doing this little girl. So embrace the difference and stop letting people put these labels. Ooh, I wasn't even here. Letting these people put these labels on our children, making them forget their identity. Because even with my nephew, he was not speaking as quickly as Barack was. So my mom was like, maybe he has a touch of autism. And I'm like, maybe he does. And so she was like, I'm going to tell his mom to have him tested. And I said, I'm going to tell his mama not to have him tested. I don't want my nephew having no labels on him and in the system with this label. No, 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 no. Give him some time and be intentional. We gave him some time and we were intentional, and there's nothing there. Does he move differently than Barack? Hell yeah. In a lot of ways, I'm like, whatever y'all think this is, it's a plus because the boy is beautifully different with his behavior. Like I can talk to him one time and I have to talk to Barack 20 times. So who's really on the spectrum? So I said all that to say, like, stop it. Like, your baby is being a child. Your baby is exploring this new world that is so new to him. I've been here 38 years and I'm still like, wow, I didn't know. This is amazing. We can do more. There is more, like places to see, places to go, like everything. And just remember that. And yeah, y'all. We're back to school. I find that I am the unorthodox. I hope that wasn't like that the whole time. I am the unorthodox parent in my parent circle. Most times I do things a little unorthodoxly. So I just thought I would share my 2 cents with you guys and my mothering perspectives and back to school, since it's that time of year, about how I mother, my perspectives, and all of the things. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of The B Word. Stick around. We have so much more in store. We are just getting warmed up. We are going to be breaking through so many breakthroughs. And I'm just excited about how God will be using me in these seasons to come. Thank y'all for tuning in. Be blessed, be bold, be brave, be peaceful, be loving, be kind, be all that you can be every chance you get. Peace, billionaires.